The rain outside the window pattered softly, mingling with the lingering scent of intimacy in the room, creating an oddly serene atmosphere. Jung Yu felt as if she were floating on a cloud, or as if soaked in warm milk, her whole body weak and boneless, with not an ounce of strength. Liam Yui's embrace was tight, so tight it made her a little breathless, but that unique scent of his clear cool and domineering wrapped around her layer by layer, inexplicably making her feel at ease. She turned her head slightly, her gaze falling somewhat blurrily on his profile, so close at hand. Liam Yui's eyes were closed, his long, thick eyelashes casting a faint shadow under his eyelids. His high-bridged nose, tightly pursed thin lips, and sharply defined jawline, every feature perfectly aligned with her aesthetic. Who would have thought that this man, who seemed aloof, cold, and inspiring, wielding thunderous power as the head of the Lee Corporation, could be so clingy in private? Seen enough? A deep voice suddenly sounded by her ear, husky and lazy with sleep. Jung Yu was startled and instinctively tried to pull her head back, but a large hand gently pressed against the back of her skull. Liam Yuan had opened his eyes at some point, those deep pupils reflecting her current appearance, her cheeks still flushed with receding color, her gaze dazed, like a startled fawn. "Don't be shy," he chuckled softly, his chest vibrating slightly, his voice stinged with a hint of teasing. "Who was the one crying out so loudly under me just now, begging me to be gentle?" Jung Yu's face instantly burned crimson. She wished she could find a crack in the floor to crawl into. "I did not," she retorted angrily, biting her lower lip, but her voice came out soft and weak, completely lacking in force. "Whether you did or not, you know in your heart," Liam Yuan said, his fingers lightly caressing her smooth back. Wherever his fingertips brushed, they left a trail of fine shivers. He sat up slightly, pulling the nearby thin blanket over her, covering her all minus to minus beautiful body. "It's raining outside. Don't catch a chill." His tone was flat, yet carried an unquestionable concern. Jung Yu watched as he got out of bed. His back was lean and muscular, the lines flowing and full of strength, the muscles firm but not exaggerated, a perfect physique that only came from long-term fitness and self-discipline. He walked to the bedside table, picked up the milkshake that had already melted somewhat, and gave it a gentle shake. "Still want it?" he asked, looking back at her, his gaze gentle. Jung Yu shook her head. Remembering the earlier embarrassment, she said softly, "I don't want it anymore." "Then we won't have it." Liam Yuan casually set the milkshake on the table, turned, and picked up a black silk robe, draping it over himself, casually tying the belt at his waist. He walked back to the bed, reached out, and scooped Jung Yu from under the covers. "Come on, get up and take a shower. Then have something to eat." "I don't want to." Jung Yu wrapped herself around him like a koala, her legs instinctively tightening around his waist, clinging to him without moving. "Be good. It'll be uncomfortable if you don't," Liam Yuan patiently coaxed, his tone full of indulgence. "Or do you want me to help you?" The last few words carried a dangerous hint. Jung Yu instantly remembered the consequences of his help last time, 2 hours, even crazier than before. She quickly let go of her legs, her feet touching the slightly cool floor, sending a shiver through her. "I'll wash myself." With that, she grabbed a towel, her face flushed, and dashed into the bathroom. Liam Yuan watched her retreating figure, the smile at the corner of his mouth deepening, his eyes filled with tender helplessness. "Slow down. The floor is slippery." He leaned against the bathroom door, watching the steam inside, listening to the sound of splashing water, but his mind couldn't help but conjure the image of her blossoming under him just moments before. That unreserved trust and dependence filled him with an unprecedented sense of satisfaction. As the head of the Lee Corporation, he was accustomed to controlling everything, accustomed to watching the world's prosperity and desolation with a cold eye. Until he met Jung Yu, this girl who was like a little sun, melting his long-frozen heart bit by bit with her clumsy, yet fervent way. The bathroom door suddenly opened a crack. Jung Yu peeked out half her face, her cheeks flushed pink from the steam, her hair wet and clinging to her face. "Yn, my pajamas, I forgot to bring them." Her voice was soft and sticky, carrying a hint of a plea. Yn collected his thoughts, turned, walked to the wardrobe, and skillfully found a clean set of pajamas, her favorite pink bunny print. He walked over and handed her the pajamas. "Thank you." Jung Yu reached out to take them, her fingertips inadvertently brushing against his palm. That fleeting touch made them both pause for a moment. Yn looked into her clear, watery eyes, and a soft place in his heart was gently stirred. He suddenly reached out, pulled her into his arms, and lowered his head to kiss her lips. This kiss was different from the previous wildness and demand. It was gentle and deep, carrying a hint of comfort and tenderness. "Baby." He released her, resting his forehead against hers, his voice low and serious. "From now on, you're not allowed to smile at others, not allowed to look at others, not allowed to talk to other men. You're mine. Totally mine." His tone was domineering, even carrying a hint of possessiveness. Jung Yu was stunned for a moment, then nodded lightly, her cheeks burning again. "Yes, I know." He knew that although Yn was usually gentle, deep down he had an extremely strong possessive streak. He didn't allow anyone to covet what was his, especially her. After showering, a simple dinner was already set up in the room. It was food ordered by Yn from the household staff, all dishes Jung Yu loved. The two sat at the dining table. Jung Yu, ravenous, ate wolfish lie. Yn, on the other hand, cut his steak on hurriedly, occasionally putting food on her plate. His gaze so gentle it seemed to drip with affection. "Slow down, no one's competing with you." "I'm hungry," Jung Yu mumbled, a bit of sauce clinging to the corner of her mouth. Yn set down his knife and fork, pulled out a tissue, and gently wiped the sauce from her mouth. "Nothing much happened at the company today. You'll stay home and dressed with you, right?" Jung Yu's sighs lit up. "Then let's watch a movie. I want to see that new horror film." Yn raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? Last time we watched a horror film, who was it that was so scared they cried in my arms all night?" "That was an accident," Jung Yu retorted, unconvinced. "This time, I definitely won't be scared." "All right, then we'll watch." Yn smiled indulgently. "But if you get scared and cry again, don't blame me for not warning you." After dinner, the two curled up on the living room sofa and turned on the TV. Yn had specifically arranged for a projector on the huge screen. The opening credits of the horror film slowly rolled. The lights in the room were dimmed, with only the flickering light from the TV screen. The plot started off oppressive from the very beginning, the eerie background music sending chills down one's spine. At first, Jung Yu tried to put on a brave face, clutching a pillow tightly, but as the plot deepened, those sudden, startling scenes made her instinctively curl up. When a ghostly face suddenly appeared on the screen, Jung Yu screamed in fright, throwing herself into Ym's arms, covering her eyes tightly. "I knew it!" Ym chuckled softly, wrapping his arms around her, his large hand gently patting her back. "Don't be scared. Don't be scared, I'm here." "It's too scary." Jung Yu buried her head in his chest, not daring to look up. "Should we stop watching?" Yn asked. "No, keep watching." Jung Yu stubbornly lifted her head. "I refuse to believe I can't finish it." Yn shook his head helplessly and turned his attention back to the film. However, the plot that followed indeed grew increasingly terrifying, to the point where even Yn felt a bit unsettled. Just then, Jung Yu's phone suddenly rang. The piercing ringtone was especially jarring in the quiet room. Jung Yu, startled, quickly sat up from Ym's arms to grab her phone from the coffee table. The screen showed an unfamiliar local number. "Who was it?" Lee Muy frowned, a hint of displeasure in his voice at being disturbed. I don't know, it's an unknown number. Zhang Yu hesitated but still answered the call. Hello? Is this Miss Zhang Yu? A strange woman's voice came from the other end, urgent and anxious. Yes, this is she. May I ask who's calling? Miss Zhang, I'm a nurse from City Hospital. Your father, Mr. Zhang Jiangwo, was just in an accident at the construction site and is currently in critical condition at our hospital. Could you come as soon as possible? Bang! Zhang Yu felt as if her head had exploded, her mind a complete blank. Dad, what happened to my dad? He fell from a scaffolding, injured his head and back. The situation is quite critical. We need a family member to sign consent for surgery. Lee Muy sensed her distress, took the phone, and put it on speaker. I'm her boyfriend. Well, be right there. His voice was steady and forceful, exuding an air of unquestionable authority. Hanging up, Lee Muy picked up Zhang Yu, who had collapsed on the sofa. Don't be afraid, I'm here. He lowered his head to kiss her forehead, his tone firm. Get dressed. We're going to the hospital now. Zhang Yu's eyes were red, tears streaming uncontrollably. Yuan, I'm so scared. Don't be scared. It's just an accident. Your dad will be fine. Lee Muy helped her get dressed while quickly calling his personal assistant. Get the car ready to City Hospital. Also, notify the best neurology and orthopedic specialists at the hospital to report to the emergency room immediately. Yes, Mr. Lee. The black Maybach sped like lightning through the rainy night streets. Inside the car, Zhang Yu clung tightly to Lee Muy's hand, her palms sweaty and cold. Yuan, my dad, don't overthink it. Lee Muy pulled her into his arms, his large hand gently stroking her hair. I've already contacted the best doctors. Your dad will definitely be all right. The car soon arrived at City Hospital. Outside the emergency room, it was already packed with people. Lee Muy carried Zhang Yu all the way, taking the VIP channel directly into the emergency building. The hospital director and several specialists were already waiting at the entrance. Mr. Lee, Miss Zhang, the director greeted them respectfully. We're aware of the patient's condition. There's minor bleeding in the brain and a fractured lumbar spine. Surgery is required immediately. Is the surgery high minus risk? Zhang Yu asked, her voice trembling. All surgeries carry risks, but mild to or at most, the head surgeon said. We need a family member to sign consent now. He Muy took the consent form and signed his name with a flourish. I'll cover the surgery costs. Use the best medication, the best equipment. If anything happens to her father, he paused, his gaze sharp as a knife. Your emergency department won't be needed anymore. The director and doctors broke out in a cold sweat, repeatedly assuring Mr. Lee, rest assured, we'll do everything we can. The operating room doors closed. Zhang Yu slumped onto a bench in the hallway, watching the glaring red light, her heart taking as if cut by a knife. Yuan, it's all my fault, she sobbed softly. If only I'd called my dad earlier, told him to be careful. This isn't your fault. Lee Muy crouched before her, took her hand, his gaze deep and firm. No one can predict accidents. Right now, you just need to wait here peacefully for your dad to come out. Leave everything else to me. He stood up, walked to the side, and dialed a number. Find out which company owns the construction site where Zhang Jiangwo had the accident, and pull the surveillance footage from the site. I want to know if this was truly an accident, or if someone tampered with it. Hanging up, Lee Muy looked at Zhang Yu trembling on the bench, a flicker of ruthlessness in his eyes. He would never allow anyone to hurt his girl, nor would he allow any accidents to befall her family. If this truly was an accident, he would compensate the Zhang family and ensure Zhang Yu a stable life. But if this was deliberate, the corner of his mouth curled into a cold arc. Then he would make those people know the consequences of crossing the head of the Lee Corporation. 1 hour later, the light in the operating room finally went out. The doctor walked out, removing his mask. The surgery was successful. The patient is out of danger, with no immediate life-threatening condition. However, the lumbar fracture will require a long period of recuperation, and the brain injury still needs observation. Jung Yu cried tears of joy, collapsing into Lee Muyin's arms. Thank goodness, thank goodness. Lee Muyin gently patted her back, his own tense nerves finally relaxing. I told you, your dad would be fine. Just then, Lee Muyin's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen, and the tenderness in his eyes vanished instantly, replaced by a chilling coldness. You stay here with your dad for now. I'm going out to make a call. All right. Zhang Yu wiped her ears and nodded obediently. Lee Muyin turned and walked out of the ward, his expression instantly turning cold. Speak. Mr. Lee, we found out. His assistant's voice came through the phone, tinged with gravity. The construction site where Mr. Zhang had the accident belongs to a project under the pay group. Moreover, the surveillance footage shows that the scaffolding under Mr. Zhang's feet had been tampered with. The pay group. Lee Muyin's eyes narrowed instantly, a flicker of murderous intent flashing in their depths. The Pei family had been making frequent moves recently, trying to suppress the Lee Corporation in business. Before he had even dealt with them, they had reached right under his nose. Preserve the evidence and send it to me. Lee Muyin's voice was as cold as ice. Also, prepare a gift for me. I'm going to visit Mr. Pai myself. Yes, sir. Hanging up, Lee Muyin glanced back at Zhang Yu, who was holding her father's hand and crying in the ward. She was so kind, so innocent she shouldn't be disturbed by these dirty matters. He would settle this score on her behalf. He composed himself, putting the gentle mask back on, and pushed the door open to enter the ward. Yu, the doctor said your dad needs rest. Let's step out and let him get some proper sleep. John He nodded, taking one last reluctant look at her father in the hospital bed. Lee Muyin took her hand and they walked out of the ward. The window at the end of the hallway was open. The night breeze drifted in, carrying a slight chill. Lee Muyin pulled her into his embrace, resting his chin on the top of her head, his voice gentle yet carrying a barely perceptible firmness. Baby, from now on, as long as I'm here, I won't let anyone hurt you or your family. Zhang Yu leaned against his chest, breathing in the scent that made her feel safe, the fear in her heart gradually fading. She let out a soft, tears glistening in the corners of her eyes in the moonlight. She knew that as long as he was there, she had nothing to fear. Only, she didn't know that a bigger storm was brewing because of her, quietly drawing near. And that man named Pei Huiqi was about to become the biggest variable in their peaceful life. Only, she didn't know that a bigger storm was brewing because of her, quietly drawing near. And that man named Pei Huiqi was about to become the biggest variable in their peaceful life.